Hi, everybody. It's Alexa Waco from Soho Press, and I'm really excited to talk to you about some of our titles today, mostly spring titles. But first, I'm actually going to talk about one title that we have out already, which is This Time Next Year We'll Be Laughing by Jacqueline Winspear. For those of you who don't know, Jacqueline Winspear is the New York Times bestselling author of the Maisie Dobbs series. And after 16 novels in the Maisie Dobbs series, she has decided to take the bold step of turning to memoir. So that is This Time Next Year, We'll Be Laughing, an aspirational title, we hope. This is a memoir of her Kentish childhood and also her family's resilience in the face of war and privation in the years after the World War II in England. This memoir is shockingly frank. It tackles such difficult, poignant family memories as her paternal grandfather's shell shock, her mother's evacuation from London during the Blitz, her parents' years living with the Romani people, and also her own childhood on a farm in rural Kent picking hops. So it's, for those of you familiar with Maisie Dobbs, it feels like quite a departure. But the memoir also goes into kind of her inspirations behind Maisie Dobbs and how this resilience inflects itself into the narrative. And it's an eye-opening and heartfelt portrayal of a post-war England we rarely see. And also, like we said, a blue-collar story of growing up in the English countryside, of working class indomitability and family secrets, artistic inspiration, and also the price of memory. But most of all, it feels rooted in the durability and strength of the human spirit, which we feel like makes it perfect for our times. And that is This Time Next Year We'll Be Laughing. That's on shelves already, so check it out. So next, I'm going to talk about a novel that we have already out. It will be out in paperback soon, which is why I wanted to give it a quick shout out. That is 3 Hours in Paris by Cara Black. Cara Black is one of our most popular and all-time best-selling novelists on the crime side. She's well known for her Amy Leduc series, which is soon to be in its 20th installment. But this year she did something a little bit different, which is publish a standalone. It's still set in Paris, even, that is what Cara is well known for. And this one takes a little bit of a different tack, though, because it is set in Nazi-occupied Paris. And Kara's inspiration for this novel was a little-known historical fact, which is that Adolf Hitler spent 3 hours in Nazi-occupied Paris and then left for reasons unknown. And 3 Hours in Paris is, Kara's imagining of what led him to leave suddenly. So the premise of 3 Hours in Paris is that it centers around an American riflewoman, Kate Reese, who's recruited to a top secret and highly dangerous mission, which is to assassinate the Fuhrer while he is in Paris. The assassination attempt happens early in the novel and it quickly goes wrong. And Kate is forced to flee for her life, realizing that she has been set up. So really, this contains a lot of amazing, incredible historical detail in, this very real historical time period that's fascinating, but it's also a cat and mouse game as Kate runs for her life through Nazi occupied Paris. It is it's a excellent thriller. It is fast paced, pulse pounding action throughout. I mean, it never lets up. And this one has gotten rave reviews. And I won't give too many more spoilers, but again, if that intrigues you at all, we encourage you to check out 3 Hours in Paris by Cara Black. Next up is Mick Herron's Slough House. So those of you who don't know Mick Herron, he is one of the most decorated espionage writers working today. He is often called the John Le Carre of his generation and of the future. And he has racked up pretty much every award in that space than any other writer working today. So we are so thrilled to be publishing another installment in the Slough House series. That's the series name, but it's also this book name. It is number 7, but it is the perfect entry point into the series for the uninitiated. And what is Slough House? Slough House is MI5's London depository for demoted spies. This is the whole universe. The series follows these washed up MI5 spies as they both try to, regain their standing or, just kind of face the challenges that are thrown at them in this kind of increasingly absurd world that they live in. And the series overall is very uncannily prescient. It follows incompetent spies, careers bureaucrats, and also the rise of white power underpinnings of the alt-right political movements that are going on, in England, but in also the world. And if it wasn't so funny and so quick and so smart, it would almost be too sobering to read because that is how kind of on point it is. But a little bit about this particular book. At the beginning of Slough House, Brexit has taken a toll. The slow horses, as they're called, these washed up MI5 spies, have been pushed further into the cold. And Slough House itself has been erased from official records, and its members are dying in unusual circumstances. No wonder Jackson Lamb's crew is feeling paranoid. But are they actually targets? So Jackson Lamb and his slow horses are in a fight for their lives as they navigate the dizzying layers of lies, power, and death. And that is Mick Herron's Slough House. Next up, we have Annie and the Wolves by Andromeda Romana Lex. This is out in February. Andromeda is the author of The Spanish Bow, Behave, and also most recently Plum Rains. And she started out, or her trade is kind of historical fiction, but as she's continued publishing, she's moved into this really interesting territory that blends historical, contemporary, and a little bit of speculative. And Annie and the Wolves is no exception. Annie and the Wolves follows Ruth McClintock, who is a contemporary historian who is obsessed with Annie Oakley. That is Annie Oakley on the cover, by the way. And this obsession has cost her her job, her fiance, and it's on the verge of costing her a book deal. Basically, it's really affected her life. And just as she's about to kind of move on from this obsession, she receives a journal that claims to be a 19th century account of lost psychotherapy sessions that Annie Oakley did. So this kind of ties into this piece of Annie's life that she's most fascinated by, which is this period where Annie may or may not have been abused by her foster parents, known as the wolves in Annie's writings, and that is based in historical fact. And as Ruth kind of dives into this journal, wondering whether or not it's real, she begins to have these out of body experiences that may or may not be time travel that link to traumatic experiences in her own life and reveal new facets of them. So, this is an incredible meditation on female revenge. And also just a really excellent historical look at Annie Oakley in a really fresh, human, and relatable way. And Andromeda, combines these excellent different genres to make one really stunning contemporary book that touches on kind of timeless issues that relate to womanhood. So that is Annie and the Wolves by Andromeda Romana Lex.
Last but not least, we have Lurkers by Sandy Tan. Sandy Tan is an author and filmmaker. As a filmmaker, probably best known for Oscar shortlisted documentary feature Shirkers. She's also directing the upcoming adaptation of Elif Batuman's The Idiot for the screen, so we're really excited about that. About Lurkers, Lurkers was called by Kevin Kwan, author of Crazy Rich Asians, a wildly original book, and I think that is the absolute best way to describe it. Lurkers is composed of interlocking narratives set in suburban LA in the mid-aughts. It is a neighborhood of immigrants, seekers, lovers, and lurkers. There's Korean American teen sisters who recently lost their father to a suicide, an aging gay novelist who is fighting loneliness and also maybe a ghost, and a white mother and her Vietnamese daughter who are dealing with the fallout of lifelong anger issues. And as these neighbors try to keep their distance from each other, they only set themselves on a collision path with one another. That is Lurkers. It is out at the end of March. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.